Have you ever looked at someone online and thought, wow, they must be making a fortune, and just assumed it's because they're the expert, the face, the talent? But what if I told you that the biggest money in this entire game isn't usually made by the person you see on camera? It's made by the person behind the camera, the one building the machine. And that someone could be you. This isn't about becoming a guru. This is about understanding where the real leverage is. Let's be honest. When we see a massive online business, our brains immediately go to the person with the authority, the one with the degrees, or the one who's been grinding for a decade to build a personal brand. We think, I could never do that. I don't have the following. I don't have the credentials. But that's looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at the visible part of the iceberg. The real opportunity, the part that actually generates the wealth, is hidden underwater. It's not the doing of the skill. It's the packaging, monetizing, and scaling of the skill. Think about a personal trainer. A great personal trainer can make a great living, but the person who builds the funnel, creates the online offer, and runs the sales flow for that trainer, they can build real, scalable wealth without ever stepping foot in a gym. They're not competing on expertise. They're winning on infrastructure. That's the first big shift you have to make in your mind. You do not need to be the expert to make money in an expertise business. You don't need years of public authority. You don't need to be the face. What you need is to become the monetization layer. So, what does that actually look like? Well, there's a ladder to this. Most people look at the final outcome, the person with the team, the high-ticket offer, the massive launch, and they think they have to start there. But you don't. You start much, much simpler. Let's call it the path from marketer to consultant to operator. At the very beginning, you're a growth marketer. You're solving one narrow problem. Maybe a creator you admire has a great audience, but their emails are terrible. You step in and offer to write their email sequences for a fee. You're not trying to own their whole business. You're just solving the conversion problem. As you do that, and they see results, trust builds. Now, you're not just writing emails. They're asking you for advice on the launch strategy itself. You've become a consultant. You're helping them shape the offer, time the launch, and map out the campaign. Your impact is bigger, and so is your compensation. And then, after you've helped them through a few launches and proven that you understand the entire system, from traffic to conversion, you become an operator. You become embedded in their business. Maybe you're now a strategic partner, taking a percentage of the revenue from the very engine you helped build. You went from being a helper to being a core part of the business structure. That's the journey. And the reason this journey works is that most people overcomplicate what is actually a very simple business model. Underneath all the flashy webinars, complex funnels, and big teams, every successful online business is built on just a few core components: traffic, offer, conversion. That's it. The person on camera handles the traffic, their audience, their trust. The expert provides the raw knowledge. But your role, the role of the operator, is to build the offer and the conversion mechanism. You take the raw attention and the raw expertise and you package it into something that sells. You create the system that turns "I like this person" into "I need to buy this." And here's the most important part. You don't need to build this entire machine from scratch. You don't need to go find your own traffic, invent your own product, and build your own brand. That's the hardest way to do it. The smartest way is to enter through the layer where you can actually add immediate value. Stop trying to own the entire machine on day one. Instead, look for someone who already has an audience, who is already the expert, and who is leaving money on the table because they don't have a good conversion mechanism. Your job is to plug into something that is already alive and make it more profitable. A creator already has the audience. You build the funnel that monetizes it. A coach already has the knowledge. You structure the offer that packages it. A consultant already has the credibility. You build the sales flow that converts it. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from a position of leverage, attaching your skill to their existing trust. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but all the examples I see are these massive 7-figure launches and big teams. That feels overwhelming. And that's the trap. You stare at the giant case studies and you freeze. But here's the truth that changes everything. A smaller version of that large model is often more than enough to change your life. You do not need the full giant operation. You do not need a 7-figure funnel. You don't need 1 million subscribers. You need one good partner, one strong offer, one well-built conversion system. If you help one creator, one expert, just one person generate an extra $20,000, $50,000, or $100,000 that they weren't getting before, and you take a percentage of that, that's life-changing money. That's more than a lot of full-time jobs, and it's far more realistic and attainable than trying to build a media empire. Stop staring at the top of the mountain and thinking you need to start there. What looks complicated at the top almost always started very, very simply at the bottom. At the highest level, yes, there are big teams, complex software, and massive ad budgets. But at the entry level, it's a conversation. It's a simple document outlining an offer. It's a simple email sequence sent to an existing audience. You do not copy the enterprise version. You copy the beginner version of the principle. You find a creator you respect. You don't ask for a partnership. You ask if you can help with one specific thing, something you know you can do well. You say, "Hey, I noticed your YouTube channel is growing, but you don't have a way for people to work with you. I can help you build a simple one-page offer and a follow-up email sequence. If it generates sales, you just pay me a flat fee for my time." That's low friction. That's practical. That's how you start. So, look, the point of all this isn't to make you feel like you have to admire the big players from afar. The point is to show you that the system underneath them is learnable and that you can step into it without being the expert. The real wealth isn't in the spotlight. It's in the infrastructure that supports the spotlight. It's in the packaging, the monetization, and the scaling. It's in becoming the operator behind the visible brand. You don't need to become the guru. You just need to help the guru monetize. That is a far simpler, faster, and more realistic path to building real wealth. So stop trying to build the whole machine and start looking for the one piece of it you can control and improve. That's where your leverage is. That's where the real opportunity sits.